Alright, this will be a quick stream. An extremely quick stream. There was nothing really on the docket today, so there's a couple things, but I'm not going to go over every baseball game or anything like that. So must be Blue Jays and maybe a couple other little tidbits there. So let me go ahead and I'll wait maybe 1 minute. We're not going to wait for Sage, otherwise we'd be waiting for 10 more days for him to arrive, so doesn't seem feasible, at least not to me. Let's just start with a breakdown as to what happened today in the Minnesota Twins game versus the Jays. Actually, should I be starting with that? Yeah, I probably should start with that, get that out of the way. That's kind of our only news of the day, though, if I'm being honest with you. There really wasn't a whole lot going on. Anyways, as I'm sure you're aware, because the title certainly suggests it, the Blue Jays did extend their winning streak to 4 games with a second win over the Minnesota Twins, 5-4. Kind of a little bit of a, I wouldn't say back and forth game, but a little bit of a back and forth game. I think the Jays were down 3-2 until the 8th inning when they went up 4-3. Then in the ninth, each team put up a run. So the Jays entered the inning, I think, 5-3. Unfortunately, Jeff Hoffman did let a home run. ERA at 5.65. I mean, he's still, I think, 15 out of 18 in terms of like successful saves versus blown saves, but the ERA is looking ugly to say the least. It was, I think it was a high fastball. The guy got around on it. I think the fastball needed to be a bit higher because Clemens was able to turn on it. So just get that fastball just a little bit out of the zone, instead of right at the top of the zone. It wasn't a terrible pitch by any stretch of the imagination, but it certainly, it's hard though. This day and age, most players are accustomed to hitting the ball low in the zone, not high. So I can't say it was a bad pitch, but just get it up a little higher, and they won't be able to hit it out of the park there, Jeff Hoffman. You heard it from me first. Offensive breakdown, let's just start with that. So, unfortunately, Bo Bichette was 0 for 5, so OPS still solid at 749, but certainly does take a bit of a hit there. Vladimir Guerrero was 2 for 5 today. He had a little punch and Judy RBI single to, I think it was right field, or I could be thinking of the other game there. It was a duck snort, regardless, so he did get an RBI, kind of important. Barger did not have an RBI, but he did have another extra base hit. He had a double, so he continues to be a force at the plate. No Barger bombs today, but that OPS is standing pretty steady at an 834 clip there. Miles Straw, who gives a fuck? We'll move on from him. George Springer did hit a big home run, so I believe that's his 10th of the season. It was a 2-run bomb. And he now leads the team in OPS at a sweet little 854 clip there. So awesome work for George Springer. Nathan Lukes, he's continuing to... I think he's a bit of an older... I wouldn't even necessarily call him a prospect at this point, but I think he's a bit older. But he's still producing. He was 2 for 3 today. He's at a 761 OPS, so I can't really complain about that. Arnold Clement, 0 for 4, who gives a shit. Of course, our great hitter, Jimenez, was 1 for 4 today, so brings that OPS up to 597. He just needs to hit around a 650 OPS. His defense is worth it, but there's no way he's going to go back and revert to what he was early on in his career in terms of a hitter when he had, a 6 or a 7 WAR, whatever it was. It's just not going to happen. Hitting is not in his DNA. I don't know why he hit that year. Let's just call it a COVID year. I don't fucking know. But he's not a good hitter. But he is the best second baseman in the league in terms of defending. And when I say league, I mean both the National and the American League. It seems I might have picked up the wrong catcher. So today, Tyler Heineman was 3 for 4. He scored 2 runs. He had a home run. He just put stats all over the place. So I picked up Alejandro Kirk in the fantasy league there yesterday or the day before, I forget which. And all I gotta say is, man, would have been fucking nice if I picked up Heineman for today. It would help me maybe squeak out a win this week, which we'll get to later. I almost said Trevor Gossman. Oh my god, Kevin Gossman. He had a good game. It looked like he got rattled a little bit. I did when I was on the treadmill. I did kind of put the highlights of today on and just kind of watched it. And there was two pitches that were low. They were outside the strike zone, and he got really rattled by it because then the bases ended up getting loaded, and he ended up just hitting one, so hitting one in, and then I think the pitch got away on the other one. So I think he was rattled. He still had a good game, 3 earned runs in 6 innings equates to a 4.5 ERA, so can't complain about it. But I think he really, especially that one he got rattled at, it was down. It was Joe Morgan down, so it was down. Still respectable ERA. He was inflated earlier in the year. He's at a 3.87. Chad Green did pick up the win, lowering his ERA to 3.62, and whoever the fuck Fisher is, he picked up a hold, and we already went over Jeff Hoffman. So that's all we got to say about that. Speaking of a guy, I really like this Griffin Jacks, but he seems to be having a rough year. He's blown 4 saves now. He's 1-4, and he's got a 4.82 ERA. That was a guy I was really hoping to add back to my rotation because I do have Duran in my fantasy league, who's, he's pristine, he's perfect, But yeah, Jack's at a 5 ERA almost. That's he's a better pitcher than that. Let's just put it down that way. So, in terms of Jays news, we do have, they are 1 game up in the wild card. Please do not. We're 66 games into the season or something like that, or 64. Take it with a grain of salt. But they're only 5 games back of the Yankees. They're second in the AL East, and so far, they've accomplished the tasks that I've set out for them. But the next goal is let's get to 8 to 10 games above 500, can stagger or, stay around there for a little bit, and then, keep it moving, basically, and secure a wild card berth at the very least. There's nothing wrong with, finishing in a wild card spot. In baseball, it's as random as it gets, in all seriousness. You get to the playoffs, you've got a chance, probably more so in baseball than any other sport. Whereas in basketball, if you make it, you typically have to be a top seed or one of the top seeds for sure. In hockey, it's a little bit more randomized. And then in football, it's typically the top dogs going to the top there. You don't usually see a wild card team pulling away. Can happen, but if it does happen, it's usually because a team got hot late in the year and that sort of thing. Let's pivot off of the MLB for now. We'll come back to it because we do have the Pete Rose Bowl cut to go over. We already mentioned that Aaron Rodgers did sign with the Steelers. The terms of the agreement were announced earlier today. No idea who announced it, but it's a 1-year, $13.65 million contract with $10 million in guarantees. And it can lead to a total value of 19.5. So obviously, not a big payday for him. For us, yeah, that'd be great. Make $19.5 million for sure. Kind of just a good contract for the team, and it's not going to hurt them, and it's going to allow them flexibilities of paying TJ Watt a bit more. Not that they're going to front load that contract at all, right? But yeah, just the terms of the contract have been announced. Now, for some reason, and I do not know why, and there's not much in the world that I don't know the answer to, but I don't know why the NBA decided to give a second day off for the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. Because the series started in OKC for Game 1, and Game 2 will also be going to in OKC as well. So usually rest, an extra day off, should be for when they're traveling, across the country or whatever the fuck it means, right? But for some reason they thought, let's give them rest right at the start. But, it is what it is. They will play, I guess, technically later today because it's after midnight Eastern Standard Time at 8 p.m. on ABC. I bet Sportsnet won't have it again. OKC is expected to win by 10.5, so 11 or more. So we'll see what happens there. As you already know, the Pacers stole Game 1 and do have a 1-0 lead in the series. It looks like, now this does make sense. So for the NHL, we do have, Edmonton and Florida. Their next game is going to be on June 9th at 8 p.m. Makes sense because they're traveling from Edmonton to Florida. Makes sense to give them an extra day off. NBA, I'm not really sure what they're doing. Also tonight, UFC 316 is on. No one gives a fuck. The UFC is so fucking terrible. I'm not even going to say any more than that. Fuck you, Dana White. Fuck you, UFC. Your product has gone completely to the fucking hell. And, let's see if you get another lawsuit against you there. Uncle Dana. Then we turn our attention to the most prestigious league in the world, also known as the Pete Rose Bowl Cut. And we have no new transactions to go over, so we will quickly run through the scores. I'm blowing my lead, but I do have 5 pitchers going tomorrow that are starters, so I think I'll be all right. 8-8 against Alexandra's awesome team. We've got Tommy Callahan up 11-5 on Vlad the Impaler, so as it currently stands, I might lose my my number 1 rank. I won't let that happen, though. Dan took a little bit of a step back. He's still up 13-2. He would still leapfrog to number 6 or whatever, but it's only 13-2 now. It was 15-1 earlier in the night. Graham's great team is up 10-4 over Mother, so we're all brought up to speed there. That's all we're going to give you for tonight. There is nothing to go over, unless some breaking news happened that I didn't check a couple hours ago. But that's all we got for tonight. So have a good night, everyone. We will reconvene tomorrow on Indie Game Cloud when we play Valheim at, I believe, 5 p.m. Eastern, unless we get excited and decide to start at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So stay tuned to that. And then, in terms of the Thundercloud, we'll be back at it tomorrow, probably around midnight, depending on how I'm feeling, to break down, I guess the Pacers and the OKC game. So have a good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.